suspect's name. We can confirm that the suspect was an OSU student named Abdul Razak Ali Artan. We do not have any information at the moment on motive. The investigation is ongoing in that regard.
Welcome to our Tuesday edition of America Talks Live Hour 2, where our most important program content comes from you. Your comments, questions, and observations phoned in to us at 1-877-639-7629. That's 1-877-NEWSMAX. Now, we just heard Monica Mull, Director of Campus Security at Ohio State, named the Somali student who ran over pedestrians, then stabbed onlookers with a butcher knife before a campus cop gunned him down. In my not so humble opinion, the dead student was a terrorist. But wait till you hear what the university's diversity director did today on social media in an act of absurd political correctness. We will get to that shortly, but first, John Bogman has this news update. John?
JD, thanks. Donald Trump is set to name former Labor Secretary and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's wife, Elaine Chao, to be the next Transportation Secretary. Chao served as Labor Secretary under former President George W. Bush and Transportation Secretary under Bush 41. This comes after the president-elect selects Georgia Congressman Tom Price to be our next Secretary of Health and Human Services. And Trump's, quote, thank you tour will kick off Thursday in Cincinnati, Ohio. More stops will be announced once the other venues are booked. The second stop is tentatively set for Des Moines, Iowa. Trump credited his rallies, which drew thousands of people, for his victories over Hillary Clinton's in key swing states. Meanwhile, the president-elect is attacking the vote recount effort led by former Green Party presidential nominee Jill Stein, which has since been joined by the Clinton campaign. Former House Speaker Newt Gingrich says Clinton's decision to join the recount shows a collapse of the Democratic Party.
What you're watching is and you're seeing this also with Keith Ellison running for Democratic National Committee chairman. I mean, you're seeing the sort of nutty wing of the Democratic Party begin to take over.
Well, Wisconsin, no stranger to recounts, will start its own recount election effort on Thursday. For more on these stories, you can head over to newsmax.com. JD, back to you.
John, thank you very much. Let us talk about the events yesterday at Ohio State and what has transpired in the aftermath. To do so, we're very pleased to welcome here to the anchor desk once again former CIA analyst Lisa Ruth, and at the far end of the desk, but never so far away as to not give us a great read on issues, former special investigator for the New York Police Department, Michael Solomon. Michael, also the author of the book, The Conversion Prophecy. Now, the police say they're investigating whether or not the events of yesterday at Ohio State meet the legal requirements for a terrorist attack. The FBI now investigating that attacker's background. Abdul Artan, believed to have terror links, is linked to an online rant against our nation moments before the attack. According to the Center for Immigration Studies, 43,000 Somali refugees settled in the U.S. under Obama. Of those, 99% are Muslim. Let me turn first to CIA analyst Lisa Ruth. As you see, the alleged assailant, who I call a terrorist, without fear of contradiction by the politically correct, by the way. This was a picture made for the Ohio University student newspaper, The Lantern, where the student was concerned about places to pray on campus. And by all accounts from his neighbors was a thoughtful, polite young man until yesterday. Mm-hmm. You give it, you're doing CIA analysis. Well, you couldn't do it domestically.
Correct.
But put on, so we understand the charter of the CIA. But you bring those skills to this discussion. Tell us what you're thinking about today when you go through the Lisa Ruth Analyst's Checklist.
Sure, and again, it's not just me, but all my colleagues. We've been talking about this, obviously. This was a terrorist attack. Now, there is a differentiation. Was it ordered by ISIS? That doesn't seem to be the case right now, but it doesn't matter. And I think that's where we lose this focus. The fact is he was acting to foment terror in the name of, probably in the name of Islam. And I say probably, we don't know that yet. We do know that he committed a terrorist act. And the thing we have to get away from everybody in this country, it doesn't matter whether ISIS or Al-Qaeda is directing them or not. There's so much information out there. Social media has created this ability to spread information that people are picking up and doing it. It was terrorism, and I just don't see how you can deny that, period.
Well, of course, we have a president who told us a cop acted stupidly in Cambridge, Massachusetts, but who warns us always never to jump to conclusions. Just as his second term is about at an end, I think most Americans have had it with this kind of thing. And yet, Michael Solomon, the absurdity of, oh, let's stand back, we don't want to paint with a broad brush, it continues. Why do you think that is?
This political correctness run amok. I mean, his statement on social media was that all he wanted to do was pray, but he was afraid that he couldn't find a place to peacefully pray on campus. Give me a break. Every campus in this country right now is putting up prayer rooms and foot baths, and they're going overboard for Muslim students to give them the feeling of warmth and love. Give me a break. So don't tell me you couldn't find a place to pray and you were angry at the administration and that's why you did what you did. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous. And whether he was radicalized here or wherever, he was not vetted when they came in here.
Well, there's something else that I don't, the term, quote, self-radicalization, to me, is that just a buzz phrase, Lisa?
You know, so what Michael's getting at here, we're trying to fall into very neat categories, right? This is someone who, again, self-radicalization, turn on the internet. Look at the magazines that are out there that ISIS puts out. I don't know that self-radicalized, again, maybe no one directed him, but ISIS has created an amazing machine to put all this information out there. And what Michael was sort of getting at here, the idea that this is because he couldn't pray somewhere, we all know Muslim people who have no problem praying. That's not what happened. There is something
but
that happened.
He was setting up the psychology of victimhood. He was priming the pump with that interview given, and we see this eagerness to become a victim. We'll have more on that in just a second. It is worth noting that former New York Police Commissioner Bernie Kerik appeared with me on Newsmax Prime last night at 8 Eastern. He asked the same question then. A whole lot of folks are asking today specifically, how did this attacker gain entrance into the United States?
How was he vetted? How did he get in? Did he go through the vetting process, the same vetting process that they're using for the Syrian refugees? This is a refugee issue that we've talked about for the last year, and a threat that we've talked about the last year.
Now, when Bernie used the term the same vetting process, I think he was almost being diplomatic, because let's just tell the truth. This current crowd in charge doesn't give a rat's patootie of doing any kind of rational security work. It's just y'all come and let's pack people in. It is, if I don't know better, I will just say this right now. The current president of the United States, the last 60 days of his term, is derriere over tea kettle, continuing to try, cleaned up the phrase, Michael, trying to profoundly change the United States, and basically, with our security, that's secondary to political correctness. Now, Lisa, you're much more intelligent, much more analytical, thus your established profession there as a CIA analyst. Am I wrong about that?
But, the issue of vetting is interesting because Canada, as you know, when they decided to take refugees, they did things like retinal scans. They did not only fingerprints, they did retinal scans of people. When we try to vet people, I love telling the story. When you start in the agency, we do this exercise where they give you a name, Muhammad. You know how many ways there are to spell Muhammad? Just because John Smith comes up without a record doesn't mean that John Smith comes up without a record. We have failed to put into place really strong vetting processes. And the question of whether they can, of course they can. Other countries do it. Look at Canada. Michael, I'd be very curious what you think as someone on the street trying to deal with people who come in, you don't know who they are.
You can't. All it takes today, you don't even need a driver's license when you come in here. You don't need any government passports. And they've got forgers over there who are making passports better than our own State Department can make them. And they're walking in here, and all they need is some kind of identification card saying that they lived on any street in any town in Tehran or Syria or wherever, in Aleppo, and they walk in. We don't know who they are. There's no records. There's no way to vet them. I mean, you can't give the guy a DNA test or fingerprint him and put it up against some nice computer.
You can do it.
We could if we bothered to.
If they're in our computers.
But the current crowd in charge doesn't care.
They don't care
Jay
at all.
rhymes with May. Johnson at Homeland Security, forget it. It should be Homeland Insecurity. And Janet Napolitano, his predecessor in that job, the system worked. The system worked. What a bunch of hooey. And speaking of hooey, this is the subject I wanted to talk about. The Ohio State University Assistant Director of Resident Life, Stephanie Clemens Thompson, posted this on her private Facebook account. Abdul Razak Ali Artan was a Buckeye, a member of our family. If you think it's okay to celebrate his death and or share a photo of his dead body, and I see it in my timeline, I will unfriend you. I pray you find compassion for his life as troubled as it clearly was. Think of the pain he must have been in to feel that his actions were the only solutions. We must come together in this time of tragedy. Hashtag Buckeye Strong. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. Hashtag say his name. Hashtag blatant idiot. This has gone on enough. This kind of stupidity is going to put more American lives in danger. Black Lives Matter, Michael Solomon, let me ask you, where in the heck does that come from?
It comes from simply the reason that we're being attacked is because they can, because we don't care. We embrace them. We embrace them with love and caring and tell them, oh, it's okay. You can come over here and kill 11 students. You come over here and shoot up a nightclub in Orlando, and we're going to coddle you. We're going to take care of your family.
And then we got the incredible thing in Orlando that it was homophobia at work with the company. You know, this is just so sad. It would be, if we were talking about this 30 years ago, trying to imagine it, it would be farce. But now it's more than tragedy, it's danger for all of us, and we want to get your calls on it. 1-877-NEWSMAX, 1-877-639-7629. Lisa Ruth and Michael Solomon remain with us. You stay with us too, and call us right now here on America Talks Live.